You are down with.
Yo, Dave.
What up?
Drop the beat.
We like it old school.
Tuesday night.
What you listening to?
The brothers from the 818.
91331.
Pacoima, California.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Caleb? Real and relevant conversation.
No script.
We invite you into our conversation.
What's going on, people?
You are down with.
The brothers from the 818.
It's Tuesday night, and we are back with the brothers from the 818. My name is Dave. As you know, Caleb's laughing because of technical difficulties, but I'm here with my man, Caleb. What's going on with you, bro?
No, man, I was thinking, hey, man, it's Tuesday night, man. I'm thinking that anything could happen, and I'm excited to be on here with you tonight. I'm also looking at your white shirt. I noticed that you have some print on it. I was thinking, like, maybe we coordinated this or something, all right? Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, you old school for sure. I might even be telling on myself, but I'm just rocking a t-shirt, man. That's it. I'm just rocking a t-shirt, man. I was working, so I took off my work clothes. I took off my uniform, and I decided to put on a hat and let's do this.
I got you. Well, what's going on, people? We are back, like we said. Yo, man, how was your Thanksgiving? I know we had our Thanksgiving pre-episode. Y'all ain't seen it because we ain't put it up. But we hiring a producer. Anyway, how was your Thanksgiving, man? What happened? How'd it go?
We hiring a producer, man. I mean, come on, man. I can't. Well, let's figure out. We're gonna have to figure out the budget for that producer. My Thanksgiving was wonderful, man. I had a chance to spend some time with the family, man, and kind of keep it kind of chill. Last week on Wednesday when we got down, I shared that I had tested positive for COVID, and so it was me and the wife and the children hanging out. The wife made a banging meal. We've continued to be blessed by neighbors. And, I just have to continue to just express my appreciation for them. I also wanted to do a shout out to my cousin, Patrice Adis. She's on the East Coast. That's Shauna's cousin. And she told me that Adis be checking us out. So I wanted to send her some love.
That's what's up. Well, for those of you checking us out, we are trying to do this live on Facebook as we go. At some point, it'll be live on YouTube as well before it all gets converted over. So making some adjustments just for your cousin Patrice. She can check us out as we go. Or anybody else. If you like and subscribe, you'll get the notification when we're up and running. And pleased to say that, since it was Thanksgiving time and had a whole lot of family members, I was like, hey, man, let me see your phone. And I made everybody subscribe. I think if I can't, push my family members into subscription, what's the purpose of having a podcast? It's like writing a book and having all your people buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At least give you that little boost.
That's good stuff, man. And really, there's people that are down with the brothers from the 818. There's people that are listening weekly, but I also noticed that there's people that think that they're subscribed but they're not subscribed. So if that's an issue for you, go ahead and double check. Even ask someone that is more media savvy than you to confirm that you are subscribed to the brothers.
That's what's up. My hint is if you pull up your phone and it says subscribe, that means you're not. So go ahead and click that and click that notification button. Click a like, give a comment if you like. We always try to respond to the comments when people do. And, just checking the stats, I know there's a whole lot more people watching than what we see from comments and so forth and so on. But you know how it goes. People get in, they see what's up, and then they get out. And that's just the way it goes. If I commented on every YouTube video I watch, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. So I get it. I definitely get it. But Thanksgiving for me was probably the best Thanksgiving I've had in about 10 years, man, to be quite honest. Spent it with some family. The food was good. The celebration was good. Was out in Vegas. You know, that went well. Just
You
it was
need to
really
quarantine
good.
yourself, man, for 10 days, 14 days, whatever Governor Newsom
No, man.
required.
Just put this on repeat for 2 weeks and you can call it what you want. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe while you repeating. But yeah, call it what you want. I'll quarantine, sure. It's all good. So didn't go crazy on Black Friday. Matter of fact, didn't go anything on Black Friday, which was really nice. And that's kind of a segue into where we going tonight. But you know, let's check in. What's going on with you? Anything new?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. I'm back at work and went into the office today, so things are really normalizing for me after my positive COVID, more than, I don't know, 18 days or something. And
Right.
so I read that the CDC is going to change their some of their restrictions or their rules around isolation after exposure, and they're going to change it from, I think, 14 days to 10 days, and that makes sense. They said that that's based off of data that they've been collecting, but things have gotten back to normal. I guess if there's something to report, it's just I had a leak in my bathroom sink, the children's bathroom,
Okay.
and I tried to do it myself, right? No, wait. I didn't. No, I'm still in the process. I see you laughing at me.
I am.
I'm still
I
in the
am.
process of doing it. And
Okay.
so that is also part of our conversation tonight because, you know, I want to be able to take care of things around the house. I want to be able to put some paint on the walls. I want to be able to do some patchwork. Um, I want to be able to fix some sprinklers, right? If my sprinklers go down. I want to be able to do that myself because it's not always necessary for me to spend that money to have someone else come out and do it. And fixing it or putting a new sink in is relatively easy, or at least I thought.
I put a sink in a couple times. The first time, or the second time, was a lot easier than the first. I'll tell you that. The first time was a number of YouTube videos on repeat and a couple extra trips to Home Depot than I planned. But it could be done. It could definitely be done. I think what it comes down to, and I guess, you know, I'm gonna save that thought because that's gonna be part of our conversation. So, you know, segue into what we talking about in part of my check-in. Like I said, everything is good. You know, one of the things I do in the morning, just, you know, notorious, you know, I say my prayers, I check my bank balance, go through miscellaneous emails that came through overnight, make sure everything is doing what it should do. This morning, I realized that I had set a payment for a credit card to probably like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, to pay yesterday.
Okay.
And yesterday, I went in and made a payment on that same credit card. Right.
Oh, lovely.
So,
Lovely. It doubled up.
so
Credit
doubled up.
card company love
Right.
you.
So I typically pay off my credit cards at the end of every month, but I use my credit cards for everything. Right. And so, you know, let's call it January 1st. From January 1st to January 30th, I'll use the card. And then you get a bill on or about the 7th of February that's due at the end of February. Right. So essentially what I just did is paid off last month's balance and this month's balance. But my bank account is a lot shorter than what I thought it was going to be. Right. And it's all good. It is what it is. I'm not gonna miss any meals over it. Nothing's gonna start, you know, bricking through the bank. But I was just like, man, you know, I got to be a little smarter than that and pay more attention because this is December and you know it's the Christmas season. I'm be spending a little bit more because I'm buying things that I wouldn't normally buy, like a Christmas tree, maybe some snow or a visit to the snow. and doing some extra stuff. So today our episode is poetically called "To Save or Not to Save," or "To Spend or Not to Spend," and just kind of want to talk about just different things going on with that, being that it is a season for spending and so forth and so on, and what types of things do you do to either that you recognize are complete money wasters, or as you said, you're trying to fix your sink yourself. And so, what does that actually look like? And, in the immortal words of that great Negro poet, Bill Cosby, as Heathcliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show, you going to pay him now or you going to pay him later, right? So how much work are you willing to put in to mess it up so you can pay somebody to come in and do it right?
Yeah.
Right. So let's chop that up a little bit and see where that goes and see if we can have a little fun with it. You down with that?
Yeah, let's do that, man. You said something that you are a techie. I affectionately call you my geek, right? Uh, or sometimes it's nerd, depending on if I want to be
Shut it
disrespectful.
up. Stick with the geek. Go ahead.
But you say you didn't buy anything on Black Friday, but the Black Friday is not the geek day, right? Um, um, Monday is the geek day, right? For technology, usually, right? And so, did you buy anything on Monday?
No, no. And you're right. What typically has happened in previous years, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving, where people line up outside at midnight and they can't wait to get into Target and to Lowe's and to Best Buy and to all the brick and mortar establishments and so forth to do whatever they need to do. And so retailers said, we need a way to get them to go online and do something. So they started Cyber Monday deals. Well, this year it's all cyber, right? Nobody was waiting outside of stores for the most part. So, and Black Friday deals started sometime around Tuesday, believe
Right.
it or not. And they were just in there. So no, I stayed clear. I mean, I picked up a couple things here and there, but nothing where I was like, ooh, I got to make sure I'm online at this time to make sure I get X, Y, and Z. I'm good on that.
Well, let me tell you what happened with me. I started looking for a iPad mini.
Okay.
All right. And um, you know, I've never owned, I'll admit it, I've never owned a iPad ever. I've always looked at people that had iPads and was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's really nice. That would be nice to have if you're gonna use it, right? But I've never purchased one. I'm gonna ask you, you're a geek. How long has the iPad been out? 10 years, 20 years?
10 since 2010, 2011.
Okay. And so that's a long time for a product to be out that is as popular as the iPad. And so you have all these other tablets that has come out since, right? Trying to emulate the iPad. And but I've never purchased one. And so I told the wife, hey, I said, hey, I want to get one. And it's only $399. They're giving me $50 off. It's down to now $350. But the iPad mini requires like a stylus. I guess it doesn't require a stylus, but you could use a stylus.
Mm-hmm.
And so the stylus is $100. And then if you're gonna get a case, it's anywhere from $50 to $60, right?
Yep.
40 to $60. And so by the time I got finished with my $399 iPad mini that dropped down to $350, I finished and walked away on Cyber Monday paying about $600, right? And my wife was looking at me sideways like, you could get a computer for that. Well, I already have a computer. I'm talking to you on a computer right now, but
Right.
I've never had a tablet whatsoever, ever, ever, ever. And I thought that this year was a year for me to do that. The way that I shop is I don't do anything impulsive. I rarely even go into the mall because I don't. If I have a need for something, I will go and get that, and then I will leave. Right. And it's never ever impulsive. And so I will say, okay, this is what I want, and I will either budget for it or I'll wait for the price to drop. Another example is next year for my 50th, when I catch up to you, because you're already old, you're already 1 foot in the grave, 50 years
Keep
old.
talking. Keep talking. Go ahead.
So for my 50th, I've already earmarked that I'm getting a new truck, right? I'm getting a new pickup truck. I went out with my battle, Edgar, and we went and looked at pickup trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was somewhere from $50,000 to $60,000 new. And I'm going to get me a new truck. I'm going to get me what I want. And what I saw was it's going to cost me about $50,000 to $60,000 for a truck. That's a luxury car. That's like a low grade, middle ground luxury car for some cars. It's expensive. It's a lot. But my birthday is not until August of 2021. And I'm already saying that I'm going to get it. And so I will get it at some point. But that's how I spend my money, right? It's very calculated. The truck that I currently have, I purchased in 2002. My truck is 18 years old, damn near 20 years old out there, still rolling, still good.
Mm-hmm.
But if I try to trade it in, I'm not going to get more than 1,000 or two, right? I'll probably do better by selling it. So that's how I spend my money, man. I just figured I will share that with you.
Well, I hear you there. I'm not an impulsive buyer. I buy what I want, but what I want takes a while for me to come to that, decision. I'm a lot more generous with others than I am for myself.
Mm.
This year, for Ilana's birthday, I, went kind of over and beyond because I just wanted to do something nice for her, and I did. And Preston, for his birthday, he got hooked up. So Xavier's like, well, my birthday's coming up. So this is what I want. I'm like, all right, this is the year of the spend. I can do that. But what I am is responsible and accountable for my spending. So I'm not one of those that goes and buys something and be like, oh man, now I'm in trouble and blah, blah, blah. Nah, if you got to eat beans and rice this month because you went too crazy last month, well, you better enjoy the beans and rice because, I still have a plan. I want to stick to that plan and blah, 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 blah. So for the most part, handle that business. It is what it is. Like I said, even with that double payment this month, I'm just like, dang it. All right, well, whatever. It's paid. I mean, years ago, I would have called him and like, look here, I'm gonna need that money back. I'm gonna need you to figure out how you gonna kick me back that payment. But now, like I said, it is what it is. So, but things come up, right? And so little things like, let's get our joke on. Did you see the Tyson fight this weekend?
No, I love Tyson. I never missed one of Tyson fights before he lost, took the L, right? Buster Douglas. But I never ever could even imagine not watching a live Tyson fight. But I couldn't bring myself to pay for it.
So me either. I couldn't bring myself to pay for it. Called up a homie and he was like, well, I got it on pay-per-view digital. I was like, oh, bet. He slid me the information. I was able to watch the fight. And while watching the fight, I enjoyed, especially the fight right before, right? But I enjoyed the fight as much as I would enjoy your average boxing match. Was it a Tyson fight? No, it was just good to see Tyson in the ring, right? But while watching it, I started to question the $50, right? Now, I didn't even pay it, but I was like, if I had paid $50 for this, would I feel I had got my money's worth? And the answer was absolutely not. I would be highly offended at spending $50 on that, knowing that, and not even knowing what I saw, looking at what I was looking at, I was like, this isn't a $50 pay-per-view fight. This is a $15 pay-per-view fight. But people are going to pay $50 just so they could see Mike Tyson in the ring again. And they did. And, and he came up again. Right. So it's one of those little things where I was like, no, now is it the $50? No, because, like the boys like Chick-fil-A, right? So if I go get them Chick-fil-A on any given day, that's $35, right? Just for them two, right? And if I DoorDash it, that's like 43. Now we creeping up close to that $50. So it's not about the cost, the $50 for $50 sake. It's, do I really want to spend $50 for this? Right? And the answer is no. Right? So maybe you didn't see the fight, but like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, do you subscribe to any of those?
Well, you're asking me if I'm subscribed to do it. Is it on the TV? Like,
Is it in your household?
no, I think my wife has Amazon Prime, but on what I have access to is Disney, Hulu, Amazon Prime, right? I have access to all of those things. I think she has it set up with her cousin, and they kind of, you could share like 3 or 4 people on one account or whatever, right? And so I think like they're sharing accounts, and so that's how I got access to it. But I could tell you what, I think this is more to your question. If I had to pay for Disney, Hulu, and Amazon Prime and the cable that I'm paying for, right, it wouldn't happen. There's no way that I would do it because I don't enjoy television that much. And so that really begs us to question, like, is it the $10 a month or the $15 a month? I don't even know what it is, right? Because I know what the cable is, right? The cable includes my Wi-Fi, and my Wi-Fi is a must for my phone, for my computer, for my ability to do work, for my all the technology around the house. The Wi-Fi is a must, and that is paired with the cable. But as far as Disney, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all that other stuff, no, man, I ain't paying for that. In fact, I had one of her cousins come in and say, I think y'all need to, talking to me, right? I think y'all need to buy, subscribe to this other account. Why? Why would I need to do that when you guys are doing it, and right now it's equitable, right? Everyone has one of those accounts. Everyone's paying, and I'm not gonna subscribe to another account. And it's not that I can't afford it. I just don't see the value in it most of the time. And I think that when you're talking about financial literacy, you need to have an appreciation and a value for money, right? What is it? Something that I started doing a couple years back is I started picking up like pennies and nickels that I find on the street. And a penny, I don't even know what I don't even know what I do with it, right? But it's symbolic to me. It's money, right? And I want to value my money, right? If it was $100 bill or $20 bill, a $5 bill on the street, most people will pick it up, right? But I'm picking up the pennies as well, not because I'm going to become wealthy picking up pennies. Um, it's the symbolism that is associated with it. And so when you're thinking about financial literacy, you're thinking about 401ks, you're thinking about FICO scores and credit scores, right? You're thinking about compound interest and should you pay off your credit card at the end of the month like you suggested, or should you pay off the highest interest credit cards? Are you talking about or do you have a good understanding of Wall Street and money market accounts, investments and stock market, or are we talking about financial restraint? And I do all of those things. I have some financial restraint where I see stuff, I'm like, that would be nice, but I don't need it right now. How about you?
No, I'm with all of that. Interestingly enough, I walk past pennies, don't pick them up. The other day in Vegas, I walked over a curb and I looked down and there was like a dime kind of wedged, and it wasn't stuck. It was just kind of laying there between the curb and the sidewalk. And I looked at it and I watched it as I walked by, and I got about 4 steps away. I was like, what am I doing? And I turned around quick and ran and picked up that dime and put it in my pocket.
It's money.
I was like, it's money, man. I'm not letting the dime sit around. I'm gonna be looking in my pocket, wishing I had a dime at some point, and that's gonna be the dime I need. So, so no, I hear you there. I definitely hear you. I think financial restraint is a little bit of discipline is your best practice. More so than FICO scores, more so than any of the rest of it. What do you spend your credit card on? Paying off high interest versus not, and so forth and so on. Personally, I don't pay interest, right? I get a new credit card every year. I try to get one that has, 0 interest, and I use that, just in case. But again, I'm paying it off every month, so it's not really a big deal. And that way, my available credit is super high, right? But my debt to income ratio is relatively low. So, I believe that's how you do it. So I feel like anywhere I walk into that I want to buy something, as long as I have sufficient amount of capital, liquid capital, to put the down payment down, whether it be a house, a high rise on Wall Street, or a car that I just been having my eye on, what's not going to stop me is my credit rating. So, and I feel good about that. So, other people will tell you something different. They'll say, you need to have no credit, you need to be completely liquid, and so forth and so on. And I understand that as well. People talk about what's the thing? Bonus points, reward points, right? Reward points don't mean a lot because most times people don't ever use them. All right, fair enough. Most times people don't use them. I'm not one of those people. I use mine. And, if I can save, nickels on every dollar I spend, then I'm going to do it, right? If I use my credit card and it gives me 5%, and I can link my credit card to my Samsung app, and my Samsung app will give me another 2%, then I'm going to do everything through there, because now I'm getting, 7% of every dollar I spend back, right? Which adds up, right? Which is the other reason for getting new credit cards, because you get the bonus points up front, and after you spend X, Y, and Z, and so it just works out. So spending wise, I'm all good, but still, that's just disciplinary practices, how you manage it. But where does the thrift come in? Because let's go back to your sink situation. Why wouldn't you just call somebody in and have them fix your sink? It can't cost that much.
All right, okay, all right. So let's go there because, and I think we're going to drift away. This is less about the money, but I want to have this conversation because it's tied to money.
Okay.
But it's also tied to some traditional roles for men, right? And I want to be able to, as I said, I want to be able to do things that I feel like I should do. Growing up, I'm gonna get to my sink, man. I'm gonna get to it. But growing up, we had the base bottom model cars, and in those bottom model cars, you could change your oil, you could wash your car in front of the street, right? You did a lot of brake changes. You would put in and take out stereo systems and sound systems and stuff, and you did all that stuff yourself, right? Growing up, we didn't have the money to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, I don't change my oil, but I know how to change oil, right? Even in that pickup truck. Now, maybe a newer vehicle, maybe it's a little bit more complicated. It's not that much more complicated. It can't be. It's oil, right? I could do it. You could do it if you wanted to. But a lot of vehicles, their maintenance programs require that you actually have a professional doing it, right? But back in the day, we didn't have any money.
Right.
We didn't have any money, and so we were trying to save some money. Today, the reason why I don't do it is because I don't have the time, and I'd rather just get it done. For me to change the oil out on that pickup truck out there, it's going to take me an hour for me to get my mind right, to get out there, to get up under it, and to go to the store, buy the oil, bring it back, all of that stuff. I don't have that time. I don't have that hour, right? But the sink was a little different, man. The sink was different. I've been looking at this sink for about 6 months. I'm like, all right, I need to change I need to change the nozzle because it had calcium buildup on it, right? And so I went to screw it off, and I used a tool, and the whole nozzle broke off because it wasn't metal, it was plastic. Now, this house is about 20 years old, and it's probably an original faucet, right? And we're not talking about changing a sink, really. Technically, I'm talking about changing a faucet that sits on the sink for people um, that are technical minded. And so I was like, all right, now that it's broken, I need to go get a replacement. And now that I needed to get a replacement, I'm just going to do it myself. And I got up under there knowing that the process was really simple, except that the process wasn't really simple because the hardware is 20 years old as well, right? And so if you look at new houses, or if people that have apartment buildings, if you went and looked under your sink, and you looked at the faucet that's attached to your cables are probably now like a bendable. It probably has like a nylon cord in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one is still 20 years old, and it has an aluminum cord that when you bend, it's bent, it stays bent, right? And you could bend it a couple times, but don't bend it too many times because it's going to snap on you,
Right.
right? And um, and I can't just take the piece off of the wall because the water supply is attached to the actual the nozzle that comes from the wall. So in order for me to do it the way that I want to do it, that I might have to do it, because I'm not calling a plumber. This is now personal, right? This is now personal. If either it's going to connect that old metal piece that is currently on there, 20 years old, either it's going to connect, or I got to turn the water supply off to the house, go back to Home Depot, get the pieces that I need, put those on, turn the water, connect them, turn the water supply back on, right? But it's personal now, but that's just male pride. That's like that, that's like a 21-year-old kid approaching me in the parking lot and wanting to throw down. I mean, like, come on, man. First of all, I ain't fighting anymore. And then he was like, come on, old man, what you going to do? I'm like, come on, man. You just trying to egg me on into a fight, man.
Right.
You 20 years old. I'm dang near half a bill. I'm a dang near half a century here.
Right.
Right. And he slaps me across my face. Now you're dealing with old man pride,
Right.
right?
Now you
And
got
so
to
the
put hands on.
sink is a little bit of old man pride as well, because
Right.
I'm not going to let it beat me. Even if I have to go to Home Depot 3 or 4 more times and walk away with a stiff back, I'm going to beat that sink. So that's the story. That's the story with the sink, man. I'm glad that you asked, because there's other men that are watching this that could completely relate, and there's other women that their men will get up under that cabinet for 3 or 4 hours. The process doesn't take 3 or 4 hours. That old man is trying to figure it out, and they don't want that pride to hurt. So for the women, sometimes it's more tied to our pride than the actual labor of it.
I have to agree with you, and you start to look at, well, yes, I do agree with you, but I have to say, if money ain't the issue, for whatever the cost you paid for the new faucet, double it, you could have got it installed. You do know that, right? So I get that there's a pride factor to it. I can't dispute it because I deal with it myself. I'm pretty handy though, right? I mean, when I moved into this house, it was quote unquote a dumb house, and now it's smart. I put in ceiling fans where they needed to be. I changed out the lightings. I put in, my dishwasher stopped working one day, and so I called just random numbers trying to find a repairman, and I said, just give me a ballpark. I don't need the commitment, but give me a ballpark for the dishwasher. He was like, probably around $300-400. I was like, $300-400? What you talking about? He's like, well, I got to unscrew it from the mount. I got to pull it out. I got to check the internal motor cover. And if there's nothing blocking it there, then I got to lay it on its side. And then I got to take off the motor from the bottom and check it. And usually there's something in there, and so forth and so on. Now, while he's talking, I'm writing all this down. And I'm like, nah, man, I ain't going to pay that kind of money.
But you're like, wait, Dave, you're like,
screwed it from the mouth.
What else? What else?
Out, blah, blah, blah.
To the side.
So, hour and a half later, I found out why it wasn't working. I fixed it. It cost me probably $20 in parts and maybe 2 hours of my time. Now, here's the other piece. My time is worth something, right? So there's some things I'm just not going to do. So let's go back to your example with your truck, right? Assuming, O'Reilly's or Pep Boys or whatever your auto parts store is within a 5-minute drive to your house. I could get to your house, drive to go get the stuff, shop and get it, bring it back, change the oil, and be sitting down on the couch kicking it with you within an hour, right? You have a 2002 truck. You reach up under there, grab that filter, spin it off, put a new one on there, put the new oil in it, call it a day, it's done, and quit. Now, is that worth my time? Probably not, because in all that time, you can drive down to Jiffy Lube, pay $15, $19, and they'll take care of it, right? So they're charging you $20 to do the service for something that was $10 in parts, $5 for the filter, about $5-6 for the oil, right? Now, my classic that's sitting in my garage, right, is a 2000, but it happens to be a BMW, right? You take that to get an oil change, it's $80, and that's the independent dealers. You take it to BMW to get done, it's like $120, right? The oil ain't that much better. It's a special filter, but I can go buy that filter and the oil for $30, right? So am I willing to spend an extra $50, $60, $70, $80, $90 for that? Nah, I'll climb up under there and get that one done too. That one's worth it for my time, because I can't see what they're doing is that much more intensive than what I would do. My other car, I paid extra so that the oil changes are included.
Right.
Because it's just not worth it for me with like oil changes and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, general maintenance, I enjoy that kind of stuff. Car washing, I love to wash my car. It's just kind of a soothing thing for me. So, there's things I'll pay for, there's things I won't, and some of it is that pride. But to go back to where you started, people who grew up in the 91331, we grew up broke, right? And if you wanted to get things done, you either had to have a homie that was going to take care of it for you. Everybody knew the cat on the block that would change brakes for $40 and a 6-pack of beer and some Kool-Aid, right? Or whatever the scenario may be. And he would hook it up for you. But, I happen to learn how to do brakes. And so if the brakes needed to get done, all right, let's get up and under there and do it. Same reason, if I take my car to the shop to try to get brakes, they're going to charge me $400-500 just because it's a BMW, right? When I could buy the parts for $100, take care of it myself, and I'll be all good. So some things I'd rather do myself because I can't see spending the money, whether I got it or not. But man pride is a big deal until you get upside down, because then man pride costs.
Right. Let me ask you this question. So that newer car that you have, can you change the brakes on it and not disrupt their maintenance or their let's call it a contract. Their contract. You could do it yourself?
Yeah. Now, would I? No. Because again, I paid extra for it to get done. But no, you can do that kind of stuff yourself. A lot of times they put so many vanity covers over it. Like if you look at the engine, you don't see the engine. You see all the plastic covers that they use to cover up the engine to make it look pretty, right? And so by the time you get through all of that, and how do you relieve this and how do you take that off and what order you have to do it and which one goes back where, it's just not worth it, right? But for example, my girl went and got her oil changed at a spot. She was like, I just got my oil changed. How come it still says I have 10% oil remaining? And I was like, did you watch them change your oil? You sure they did it? She's like, yeah, I know they did it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, they didn't reset the sensor.
Right.
And she was like, why didn't they reset the sensor? They probably forgot, right? And so I reset the sensor for her. And she's like, how you know how to do that? YouTube, right? Because just you can find out how to do that kind of stuff. But back in the day, with like your truck, you didn't have a sensor. You got a little sticker that you put up in the window that said you got your oil change on this date and this is how many miles it is. And when you get to that again, you change it again. And hopefully you don't have to have the idiot light come on, as you and I both know some folks that, drove their car until the clanging and clicking didn't stop. And that little red oil light came on and they ruined their engines. But, it's just different. It's different nowadays. So
I was going to say that in addition to pride, there's also this thing that's called satisfaction. Like you said that you enjoy the washing your car. I think a lot of it is therapeutic for me. For me to go outside in the backyard and put my hands into the ground and fix a sprinkler, I really enjoy that, right? It is as enjoyable as, I don't know, someone that loves to run and going out for a morning jog.
Yep.
It is as enjoyable as someone that likes to fish and going out and put their pole into the water, right? Or someone that appreciates some quiet time and some meditation, going out, laying out, and listening to the birds chirp, right? For me, it's the satisfaction that, all right, I actually did this myself, right? And so that's where that comes down to. But let's get back to this money piece, because we didn't have any money when we were growing up. And I think that laid a foundation for me. But there's other cats that I grew up that didn't have any money, that are more, let's call it, reckless with their money, right? I shared that I never had a tablet before, right? So let me share this too. If I had some Jordans, I had Jordans only once in my life, and I don't even remember having Jordans at this point. I believe I had some of the red white Jordans, the original Jordans that came out, right? I believe I had those, but I'm not a shoe guy. I know a lot of people that spend a lot of money on shoes. In fact, I'm not a gamer. I know a lot of people spend a lot of money on gaming systems and games and stuff like that. I don't do that. So we already said that I'm not spending any money on Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, right? I'm not doing that. I don't spend money on shoes, right? I don't. I'm going to change I'm not going to call the plumber just because I see a drip. I'm going to try to fix it myself. I'm not paying pay-per-view to see Mike Tyson at 50, 53 years old, 54 years old, dance around, right? And so I don't spend a lot of money on those things. And so what is that about? Is that because I grew up in the hood and I didn't have it? Or is it because I'm dang near 50 years old and I'm thinking I should have some money in my account so that I don't have to work another 15 years, 20 years, like I see some 70-year-old men doing.
Right. No, I hear that. And I think, I don't know, I think you and I have each other. And so we've just kind of grown up and, achieved a little bit of success, made a little bit of money, but we were never about the flash, right? I mean, I had that same pair of Jordans you had. I think I had them for like 3 days. because, honestly, they hurt my feet. And I was just like, and they're heavy and I don't even shoot hoops. So what's the big deal? So I let them go. My kryptonite, I like a nice whip. I love a nice car. And I'm one of those when it comes to electronics. I like new gadgets. Like I get a new phone, every year just because I like that cut. I get a new phone every year because the new Samsung comes out and Samsung will ship it to me directly, a few days early, if not a few weeks early than everybody else. The PS5 just came out. Do I got to be the first one on the block to have a PS5? No. But as soon as they hit the stores and they're, not so you got to check every day to see if they're in stock, I'm gonna have one of them because I got a PS4, I had a PS3, I had a PS2, and a PS and a PlayStation, and all of that because I like having video games. If for no other reason, so that when my kids are here, I can sit around and watch them do it. So I got some cruxes. But give me a nice whip and some cool gadgetry, and I'm straight. I have nice shoes. Do I have to have 50 pair of shoes in my closet, all costing $500-$600 each? Nope. I got some nice suits. Do they all have to cost $1,000 each? Nope. I got clothes that, I could wear this year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, as long as they fit, because I take care of them. I'm a pretty down the middle, practical guy. People see me in my car and they think differently. I'm like, it's the car. I like a nice whip, and that's what I'm willing to spend my money on. Like you, I'd rather have some money in the bank. I'd rather have some security about my mindset. I don't plan on working till 70, but I do plan on working into my 60s just because that's where my career and what I want to do with it and the type of, not so much for the money, but for the things I want to do. I need to be in the game that long. And so I'm happy to do that, but it's because I want to. And I've structured it so it just works out for me. Before I go too far, I do want to comment on your iPad situation.
Okay.
You've had an iPhone for as long as smartphones have been around, except for that 3 or 4 months where you got an Android and you were miserable.
Right. I followed your
Finally got
advice.
a smartwatch. You said what?
I followed your advice and you made me miserable.
I know, my bad. You tried though. Your wife got you an Apple Watch. You have a MacBook, right? You need an iPad. And I'll argue anybody on that, right? You just need to complete your ecosystem. A computer is for computing. An iPad gives you more real estate than your phone, and it's an app-driven environment, and you can do a lot of the things that you could do on your phone, and then a lot of the things that you might be able to do on your computer without having to focus on each. But those are the four spheres of the Apple ecosystem, and I think you should have an iPad. So I'm happy you got one. About time, right? Because I'm in the Android system, I have a Samsung smartwatch, I have a Samsung phone, I have Samsung TVs. Samsung, their laptops aren't great, so I don't have one of those. But I believe that, if you're going to be in that realm, then you need to outfit yourself to have it. So, good. I'm glad you got it. I would be interested to kind of documentary like follow you and see how you grow with it, right? What types of things will you do with it and what will an iPad mean to you? Because to everyone who has one, it's something different.
Right.
Some try to use it to replace their computer. Some try to use it to be a streaming device only. Some use it for productivity. I'd be interested to see what you actually use yours for.
Yeah, man. I'm also I'm also very curious in how I will use it. Because like I said, it's going to cost me about $600 and at the end of it all, I'm going to use the damn thing.
Right.
It's going to be used, right? It's not going to sit over there in the corner and collect dust. I'm going to use it. And I'm excited to add it to my arsenal. You mentioned a couple things that make me want to ask you a couple questions.
Oh.
You said that the PS, because you have Atari, you have ColecoVision, you have all those game systems, right? People don't even know what a ColecoVision is.
Or either.
Right.
Right.
But How about something that people would know? Like, I've never owned any Beats headphones or any noise canceling headphones. And I used to do a lot of traveling, right? And I thought about buying some noise canceling headphones because I was in the airplane, I was in the air all the time. And something else is that I went through my period of collecting watches, and I think you did too. Um, but right now, all of those nice watches that I have are sitting up in a case in my room. And the only watch that I wear is my Apple Watch, right? Before my Apple Watch, I would put my watches on rotation. Oh, I wear this one for a week. I wear that one for 2 weeks. I wear the other one for a month, and they would be on the rotation. But because I have this Apple Watch, now it's the only thing that I wear. How about you with regarding watches and stuff like those headphones that was costing people, you know, $200, $300?
So let's start with the headphones. No, I've never owned a pair of Beats. For me, I like good music, and good music to me is a speaker, right? Not something wrapped around my head. I want something around me. I'll pay extra. Like again, my car, I paid extra for the high-end audio system. My classic, I spent time, I put in the wrench time to put in the sound system that I want to hear. So to have something around my ears just isn't my thing. I have some Bluetooth earbuds, but they're really about just the flexibility of being able to be on my phone without having the phone up to my ear. And if I feel like listening to music, I can do that as well. So I don't need high fidelity in a headphone. With the watch, now, having said that, you and I will both be doing this show with Microsoft headphones on at some point, just because I'm working out a deal to get us two pair. But it's more about just to improve the quality of the show than to say, "Ooh, we got these headphones. Look what we can do with them."
Right.
But that's a whole nother thing. Watches, I probably have 20 regular watches and maybe 7 smartwatches, right? And so people are like, why do you need 7 smartwatches? Why do you need 20 of any watch? Why do you need anything more than a $5 Timex is going to tell the time, right?
Right.
So for me, my watches is the jewelry that I like. And it's really fashion over function. If I'm wearing black, I want a black watch. If I'm wearing brown, I want something brown. If I'm in a suit, I might do something that got a little metal tinge to it. You'll never ever see me in rose gold, and gold to me went out with the 80s, right? So I have a plethora of watches. I still rotate them, including the smart watches, depending upon what I'm wearing and where I'm going and the look that I'm trying to achieve. I got square faces, circle faces. I think you have a watch that I always wanted. I won't put your business out there, but it's fat, and I just never got around to getting it, and it lost its thrill, or I lost the need to own it. Right? If I could get my hands on one, and I was just happened to be willing to spend that money at the time, I would. But it's a fat watch, and I'm like, if I'm ever over there and I'm thinking about it, I might borrow it from you because you ain't wearing it. Um, and go from there. I even bought a kit from Amazon because I took all the watches in. It's like 15 at the time, and I had to get the batteries all changed out, and it was like $400, man. And I was like, that's crazy. So I bought
Yeah.
like a $70 kit from Amazon with all the tools and the same thing that the watch thing people use. And I can change my own batteries and adjust my own links and have the professional equipment to do it. So, just one of them things. But yeah, I like a good watch. And that's the jewelry of choice. I don't wear anything on my fingers. And even when I was married, it was just a wedding ring. I don't have other rings. I don't have necklaces and all that and the other. But I do like a nice watch. So
Yeah, man. All right, so I got another question for you, and I know that you and I are challenged with the same issues with the same issues. I'll just say that. So, when's the last time that you paid for a haircut for yourself? Like, let me, and while you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you
I have an
that you
answer for
can
you.
go,
Go ahead.
you can go to the barber and get your your head shaved. You can go to the barber and get your beard trimmed up, right? When's the last time? I know that you take the boys to the barber for the experience um and for the cultural, the barber culture, right? But when's the last time that you paid for something like that for yourself?
June 1988, right before I graduated high school. Yeah, straight up, man. Because when I went to college, Damani and all my boys, they had clippers.
Right.
And so I was like, "Oh, y'all cut your own hair?" It's like, "Yeah, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I cut my own hair." And you botch a few of your own cuts until you learn. And so, and the trip is that filtered into. So Christopher was born. He never got to go to the barber shop. I cut your hair. It's fine. I give him a fade or give him a bald head or whatever he needed. Gumby cut like them pictures behind you, right? I can, do the whole, don't turn around and look, it's digital, right?
Right.
But so when the boys came up, I was cutting their hair too. And then one day, just like you said, I realized there's an experience that a young man needs to go through, a young Black man needs to go through about being in the barbershop. And
Right.
so I tell Junie's my barber, I tell him all the time, man, for me, the haircut's free, right? I pay you so that my boys can be in this experience and they can be in this environment and they can grow up with the barbershop experience. And that's important to me. So, but cuts now, last time I got a cut, it was $10,
Mm,
right? So that's how long ago that was. You can't get no cut for $10 no more, not a cut you
right.
want. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's the last time I personally sat in a barber chair and paid for a cut.
So I'm gonna I think I went, I'm fading, it, up in the middle on the way down. I'm fading in the middle coming down. And so I went and I was having a midlife crisis at 46 years old. And I was like, man, let me go to this barber and see if they could fix this, if they can make this hairline
Right.
look right. And I asked him all the obvious questions, and he told me all the things that I already knew about my hairline. And so that's the last time I went. And so I've probably been to the barber at least only one time in the last 10, 15 years, because
Right.
I was cutting my own hair, or in the military while I was deployed, we would cut each other hair, right? And so that's how we got down. But usually I always wore it close anyways. Um, um, so that's interesting. That's interesting. And the barber culture and that experience is valuable. And I like that you do that with the boys. Let me ask you this.
Before you ask me this, I can't let this one bypass. So I know your daddy. Now his hair, he got, I think he might be thinning back here in the back a little bit, but he rounded out up here, right? I mean, he still got
Right.
all his hair except for a little back, right?
Right.
Okay, so my dad still has a head full of hair. He ain't missing no spots.
Wow.
Where you thinning at? Because I need to know where to get my clown on when I see you. I noticed you've been rocking a hat lately. So where you thinning at, man?
I'm
Is
thinning
it
at the
like you
same
getting
spot
a
you
Sherman
thinning at,
Hemsley
right in the middle.
in the middle and the back, or like all this?
No, it's in the front. It's in the front. And
Okay,
in fact, I'll take the hat off. This is how I usually rock a ball head anyways.
right.
This is men conversation. This is real conversation, you guys. This is not scripted. I didn't know that Dave was going to ask me to ask me about my daddy's hair and talk about his daddy's hair. And so, yeah, it's thinning in the front. And I just don't like how it looks. Now, I know that there's other people that will continue to rock it, and I could probably still rock it for another 5 years. But I'm aware of it. I don't like how it looks, so I don't rock it that way. The question I was going to ask is back to this money stuff, because let's do another 5 minutes on this money stuff, and then let's wrap it up. Okay. How about Spotify? How about Apple Music? How about those other title are you spending money on those platforms? Because I could tell you for sure, I'm not.
Well, let me tell you this. Title, no. Apple Music, absolutely not. I have Netflix because it's, I have T-Mobile for my phone. And so, T-Mobile gives you Netflix, Verizon will give you somebody else will give you something else. So that's paid for.
Wow.
Hulu, Spotify, is one more. I pay $4.99 a month for because I'm a student,
Oh,
right? So as long as I can show them every year that I'm a registered student, I pay $4.99 a month for the whole package. And that's Hulu,
wow.
Spotify, and there's one other one. And so my entire streaming bill is $13 a month, because the one that I do pay for is Amazon, because it gives me and the boys and my dad and my cousin the ability for Amazon's complete music library without interrupting the other one. So
Right.
all the smart devices I have in my house, we can all be listening to something different in a different room, or I can be driving and listening to something. They could be at home, and there's some independence with that. So $13, $14 a month. What's that? 140, 100, and what's that? 2800 and $670 a year is my entire streaming budget, because I don't have cable. So all the movies, anything I see is based upon that.
Hey man, you got me thinking. You got me thinking on the same line of discussion about money. It might be worth it for someone to roll in their community college, take a class on financial literacy, take a class on business, right? And also get some of those bennies that you're talking about. Get some of those bennies for their streaming and their music, because you'll gain the knowledge from the class, but you also save some money on using those other platforms as well. The bigger picture is like, what's the point of it all? Like, why are you why are we having this discussion? What's the value of saving? Why would someone put off a trip, without the pandemic and COVID? Why would someone put off a trip to the Cayman Islands or Hawaii or Jamaica or Belize, right? Why would someone put off that trip a year or two, or should they just continue to go every year and go to Cancun and go to Miami the next year, and then go to Hawaii the year after that, and go to, right? It never ends. They'll always take your money, just like these streaming platforms, right? Just like that your car payment. They're going to always come looking for that money, and they'll always take it, right? And so what's the point of it all? I guess that's my question.
While we are on this planet, we want some level of satisfaction. And some of that satisfaction comes with a price tag, right? There are some people who are just generally high on life and so forth and so on. And I'm gonna claim that. I love my life. I think I have a good life. And I'm a generally happy and content person. But there's some things that I really just want to have. Give me some cool gadgetry and a nice whip, and I'm good to go.
Hey man, I think people don't have these conversations enough. My advice to all these listeners out there is, in every circle, have yourself someone that's a lawyer, know a banker, have someone that's tech savvy, know a businessman, someone that's in the medical field, someone that's in education. Get in contact with someone that is street savvy, and also have someone in your phone that is hood. I think that you need to have a well diverse, like your portfolio. You need to have a well diverse phone contact list, right? So you can start asking some of these questions, and don't be afraid to ask the question. I had a coworker ask me about a living trust. and asked me if I knew a place where they could go and locally and to get a living trust set up. And it brought me it brought me pride and some satisfaction, like it's like that sink, right? Because I had someone that I could send them to, right? And so you should have this well diverse contact list, because you need to be having these conversations. And like what David said, um, the big picture is you've worked your whole life. By now, if you're old like me and David, you've already made $1 million or more,
Or more.
right? You've already earned more than a couple $1 million in your lifetime. But you look at your account, and if it's in the red, then you need to question whether or not there's something that you should be doing differently, right? And we're not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your life, but think twice before and have some restraint. Be disciplined. Think big picture, because um, you're not always going to be as young as you are, and you're not going to always have the opportunities that you have today. Because you might be educated and you might have degrees, but at some point, someone is going to look at you and be like, you kind of long in the tooth to be in this workforce. We got some young people coming behind you. And so some of the opportunities that you think that will always be there, they may not even be there.
Right.
All right, so I'm getting off my soapbox, man. I'm glad that we did this. I think that it will be valuable. I think it'll be valuable just because it should get people to think about things that we all have in common: phone bill, cable bill, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix. Do we need all those? Do we need to pay for the pay-per-view? Do we need to pay for the haircuts and electronics? Or do we need to pay for the earbuds or the beats? Should get people thinking about what is value. And it maybe I'll be happy if someone, one of our listeners say, hey, like Dave, he stopped for that dime on the street. And now I'm starting to stop. When I see money on the street, I pick it up as well, because it's not about the money. It's about the value, and it's about the subconscious meaning of what that money is. And if you could value a penny, if you could value a nickel, a dime on the street, then you could value your time, like me working on this sink, and you could value the money, the greenbacks that you have in your bank account. This is what I'm listening to, Dave. I was listening to some Jay-Z, the Blueprint album, 2001. H2 to is old, right?
Yeah.
That Hova, the girls, right? I was really just on the road this morning. I was listening to it, and I was appreciating Jay-Z. Jay-Z is one of my favorite artists. Probably behind Scarface. On that album, I would encourage anyone to listen to Song Cry, and you don't know what you're gonna do, right? Check that out as well.
All right.
I think you appreciate it.
All right.
What you listening to?
Um, I just came off the road from going to Vegas, and my guilty pleasure is this show called Dirty Work Wednesday, right? And it's basically you got something you need to do that's dirty, but you want somebody else to do it for you. You call them, and they'll figure out a way to get you the information you want without making you look like the fool. And it's just sheer comedy, the things they do, and even more so the stuff people fall for, right? And it's as simple as, can I speak to Caleb? This is him. Oh, so glad you answered the phone. We just want you to know that you've been awarded a dozen roses, and all you got to do is give us the name and the number of the person. At that point, you'd be like, click, right? And so I wanted them to do it, but people fall for that mess, man. And it's just sheer comedy. So I just got back off the road a couple of days ago. So that's what I was listening to while I was traveling.
Hey,
It's just
people
sheer
people fall for that because they don't got no money in the bank account and they don't want to pay for those flowers themselves. And if they have money in the bank account, they don't have to worry about someone calling them up and trying to give them something for free. It's like,
There it
hey,
is.
man, I already know nothing in life is for free. So go ahead and keep your jokes to yourself.
You want something for free, you must be dumb. That's why they call it free dumb. So anyway, you've been kicking it with the brothers from the 818. I got nothing to say about everything that Caleb just put out there. Those closing remarks were ideal. I think this is one of them episodes that, you just take a listen and look at yourself in the mirror while you're checking out your finances. You know where you stand. And more than anything, as I said when we started this, be financially responsible and financially accountable. Nobody's making you spend your money. Nobody's making you go there and do, any of these other things. And every once in a while, you do need to just take a look and verify that, what you're spending your money on are things you're actually using. You paying for a gym membership that you don't go to, that's hundreds of dollars a year that you could be saving. Those types of things will suck you dry, and you'll have nothing left at the end but a whole lot of bad debt, bad credit, and you still won't have the things that you think will make you happy. So we hope that message sinks in. We would love to hear your thoughts and comments on it. Find that notification button, click on that, like and subscribe, all the good stuff. You know where we're at. We're on, multiple streaming channels on audio. We're on YouTube. This is live on Facebook. We're just, going through some different changes, trying to see what's going to be the best format as we gear up and get ready for an amazing 2021 with some new engaging topic, contents, guests, the whole nine. So we're glad you spent this time with us, and we could kick it with you. And until next week, we will do this again and have some more interesting, real talk for you. Maybe Caleb even let his hair grow out so we can see some of that thinning. You're not by yourself, man. This right here is about as much as it grows on any given week. So the sides will grow out, but not the top. But that's the way that goes. On that note, y'all be a blessing to somebody else, be a blessing to yourself. Love yourself as you would love somebody else. And take a look at that bank book and make sure that you leave it something, not just for your children, but for your children's children, and make a legacy more than what you drive or what people can see you in, but what they will think about you as that time goes on. On that note, I'm going to say peace out.
Peace.
You are down with
The brothers from the 818.